Hello, I'm Micael, and thank you for joining us today in Design Santa Barbara. Our community recently suffered a horrific tragedy, but throughout the ordeal, we have seen people come together in stunning ways. This week in Design Santa Barbara, we are going to discuss some important topics related to the Thomas Fire and Montecito Mudslides. I'm joined by Santa Barbara Attorney John Thyne III. John, thank you for being on our show.
It's nice to see you, Michael.
I appreciate it, sir. I have a few questions for you, and I'm sure our viewers would love to know some answers as you are a wealth of knowledge. My first question is, for those of our viewers who don't know, can you tell them about your offices and what you do?
Well, I'm an attorney here in town. That's my primary occupation. I have the law offices of John Thyne III. We're a general civil litigation firm. We do a lot of corporate law. We do represent individuals in civil lawsuits. We do a lot of entertainment law. I have a brother who's on television. I've been negotiating his contracts for years. But I also have Goodwin & Thyne Properties, which is a local commercial and residential real estate brokerage. And we represent people all across Southern California, from Los Angeles to Ventura, to Santa Barbara to San Luis Obispo.
Wonderful. So back to our problems we have had last few weeks. What is the number one thing you have advised to those affected by the recent disasters?
You know, for folks that have sustained a loss, and a loss is either a direct impact where they've had property damage or their home has been either totaled or damaged by the fire, or they're evacuated from their property and they are not able to occupy their home because it's uninhabitable at this time. My biggest advice is, with regard to insurance claims, be sure to make a fire insurance claim. A lot of people are worried that they don't have flood insurance and that maybe these damages will not be covered. But in reality, California observes a rule called the efficient proximate cause when we're talking about a loss. And we are contending, and I believe it's true, that the Thomas Fire is the cause of all the damages that we've seen, even though they may have been experienced from the mudslide or the mud flow that came later. There's a distinction between mudslide and mud flow. Mudslide is generally a dry event, whereas a mud flow is water carrying dirt on the surface. Although their damages may have been immediately caused by the mud flow, the efficient proximate cause of their damage was the Thomas Fire, and that should be a covered event for most people.
So yes, that's what I was checking on your Facebook, that you're advising people, which is very kind of you. And that is a distinction. So they should file their claims as of a fire damage.
That's right.
Prior to the mudslides.
Right.
Wonderful. So I know there are a lot of questions about insurance and how to handle claims. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, one thing that people are finding is that they may not have their insurance policy with them because it's in their house, or because their home was ruined and the insurance policy was ruined as well. Your carrier has an obligation to provide you, within 30 days of a written request, a full and complete copy of your insurance policy. We are finding that most carriers today have electronic versions of these, and so when we contact them and we make a written demand, they're able to get us that policy right away in a PDF. That's the first thing you want to do, is you want to have your policy, because every policy is slightly different depending on the carrier, depending on the coverages that you've chosen and all that. So get your policy, read through your policy, or meet with somebody who can help you read through your policy and initiate a claim. Most often today, claims are able to be initiated online. You can do it on your cell phone, you can do it on your computer, or you can call your broker and make a claim that way.
Wonderful. Very well said. Can you explain the concept of bad faith insurance practices?
Yes, bad faith insurance practices is somewhat of a term of art, but it has to do with when an insurance carrier fails to promptly resolve a claim or promptly investigate a claim, fails to keep the insured informed as to whether or not their benefits are going to be extended under their policy. We see some instances, unfortunately, in these types of incidents where some carriers will do everything they can do to avoid liability. And they have the right to make arguments that would bode to their favor, but they have an affirmative duty in California to act in good faith, which means that they have to investigate the claim quickly. They have to let the insured have the coverages that they're entitled to as soon as it's determined that they're entitled to them. And there are some damages that can come to insureds if the insurance carrier is acting in bad faith. So if the insurance carrier delays or denies coverage and it's later shown that they were not acting in good faith, then you can get damages. You can get interest on the benefits to which you were entitled. In some instances, you can get emotional damages, attorney's fees, and even punitive damages if it's particularly egregious.
So the next question is, what are some of the important things that renters and tenants should know during this crisis?
So 60% of our community, as you may know, are tenants. And for the tenants out there that have been displaced from this incident, you should know that for so long as your home is uninhabitable, most leases, and like the insurance policies, we'd have to look specifically to the lease. But most leases will provide that for periods during which the home is uninhabitable, rent is not due to the landlord. Uninhabitability could be because the property was damaged itself or because you're in a mandatory evacuation zone and you cannot get access to the property. That makes it uninhabitable because it's inaccessible.
So that goes also for commercial tenants, like those people down in Coast Village Road, their restaurants were shut off for so many weeks. Was that also?
So commercial tenants, yes, in terms of the landlord-tenant relationship, there may be a provision in the lease that provides that during periods where the business is uninhabitable, the rent is not due. Most commercial tenants are filing business interruption claims. And there's been an interesting thing that happened is that the mandatory evacuation zone, when first declared, did not include a lot of areas that were in fact actually evacuated. And so Sheriff Brown has done all he can do to come back and to attempt to expand the mandatory evacuation zone, but you cannot do that retroactively. So he's issued a letter explaining that although these areas were not in the initial mandatory evacuation zone, they were in effect evacuated. And carriers are starting to pick up benefits because of that.
I understand people who have sustained property damage can seek a tax reduction. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, the county tax assessor does have a form on the website, and that's at sbcvote.com. If you go down onto the, I believe it's the assessor forms, down toward the bottom, there is a form called request for property tax adjustment due to damage, I believe it's called. And in that instance, people who are paying property taxes, homeowners that are paying property taxes, or commercial landlords who are paying property taxes can apply for a reassessment of their property value based on the current condition due to the disaster.
Very well. So my other question would be, are there any other tips you would like to offer to our viewers?
What I would say is that right now, and you mentioned this at the beginning, we are a community that is coming together in the face of this disaster. There are a lot of people who are offering resources. There are free counseling services. There are attorneys. My firm is reviewing insurance policies for free. Goodwin and Thyne Properties has been waiving any leasing commissions for displaced families. There are a lot of companies that are doing that. There are companies offering food and shelter and clothing. Take advantage of the resources of your community. There's no shame in being in need. And we have a lot of people that want to help you. And so please look around. There's tons of resources available to you. Take advantage of those resources.
So my other question is, what do you see? You're a broker in our town, has very long-standing roots, and how do you see the long-term effects of this disaster?
It's interesting because it is somewhat counterintuitive. People would think immediately, oh, well, we've sustained this natural disaster, buyers will be reticent to purchase properties in Montecito, but that is not likely to be the result. In fact, if anything, I anticipate we're going to have a short-term run-up in the cost of property in Santa Barbara and Montecito, specifically because of the economics of supply and demand. We have 85 homes that were completely destroyed at minimum. We have many others, hundreds of others, that were severely damaged and may be uninhabitable for a very long time. Those two factors combine to increase the demand for housing right now in Montecito. And there are people that have lived in this community for 50, 60 years who are not going to leave Montecito, and they're going to be needing homes to live in. So that increased demand and the sad decrease in supply based on the properties that were destroyed, and in an already tight market, the supply is low. And so the economic impact of that is generally that prices are going to increase. What's interesting is that Santa Clara, I believe it is, or Santa Cruz, one of those, I always mix them up, which had been the victim of the Napa fires, is deemed to be the hottest market in America right now. So you would think, oh, people don't want to live there because of the exposure to natural disasters, but in reality, the experience is exactly the opposite.
Well, that's a perfect view to consider. My last question is, how can they get hold of you if they have any inquiries?
If people need some help and would like to talk to my office, we can be contacted at 805-899-1100 or our website. I believe you're showing the website online, but it's www.tynelaw.com and www.gtprop.com.
Wonderful. John, I thank you very much, a wealth of knowledge. We will be back right after the commercial. Stay tuned. There is more Design Santa Barbara after the break. At Santa Barbara Design Center, we are dedicated to helping you make your house a home again. Whether you are repairing damage or starting again from scratch, we are here for you. We are offering deep discounts on rugs, sofas, chairs, tables, lighting. From floor to chandelier, Santa Barbara Design Center will be your guide to reconstruction. We are also offering our services for insurance appraisal, rug and furniture repair, and custom recreation of lost treasures. If you or any of your loved ones have been affected, come and see me and I will personally lead our team of designers and experts as they create your new home. Santa Barbara Design Center is located at 410 Olive Street. We are here to help. On this edition of Micael's Minute, I would like to talk to you about mid-century modern furniture. Mid-century modern is described as the period between 1933 and 1965, in which designers such as Eames and Nakashima used clean lines and futuristic materials to propel design into a post-war era. At Santa Barbara Design Center, you can see and feel a variety of mid-century inspired furniture, including our signature leather chairs and recliners with classical wood frames. Accent them with side tables, daybeds, ottomans for a slick, artistic look. Customize these pieces to fit your home perfectly. To bring mid-century modern style to your home, please visit us at Santa Barbara Design Center, 410 Olive Street.
Welcome to Rugs & More. We provide the West Coast with the most comprehensive collection of new, oriental, and antique rugs. Rugs are solid art investments and often become cherished family treasures. Our limitless inventory will warm up your home. Exotic or traditional, tribal or modern, our rugs weave stories through intricate patterns, compelling colors, and touchable materials. #1 in Santa Barbara for over 20 years. Visit us today at Rugs & More, 410 Olive Street in Santa Barbara.
Today on Micael's Minute, I want to talk to you about transitional rugs. Although still majority of rugs we sell, they are traditional and classical rugs, but nowadays more and more designers and the projects they have requires transitional and modern carpet. On this side, we have a very beautifully handmade rug that has classical designs from Ziegler and Company, Sultanabad. On this side, we have an Uşak design. Uşak is a town in Turkey that originally made classical Turkish designs from 1,000 years to today. They're still making them. This particular one has a classical design, but has all the colors of today's interior. So it's beige with a little bit of eggplant color and gray in it. To see thousands of transitional, modern, and classical rugs, come to Santa Barbara Design Center, 410 Olive. Today I want to talk to you about chairs. Chairs come in many different styles and shapes and classical, modern, or transitional look. This particular one is called Sarah and it is a stationary chair, is a modern look. This particular one is a recliner and is leather and is a very classical look. This one is barrack and is a swivel glider. Swivel gliders are my favorite chairs, and they're addictive. And it is in a transitional look. It is not modern, it is not classical, it is in between, a marriage between them all. And my favorite one is a Santa Barbara chair. We make these out of washable linen, and we make it with blend down inside of it, which is down and angel hair. Most comfortable, and is a swivel. If you want to see any of these chairs in person, please come to Santa Barbara Design Center at 410 Olive. So today we are in Santa Barbara Design Center with local attorney John Thyne III, and he's been kind enough to give us legal advice for our viewers. So John, thank you again. Can you tell us about FEMA's role in our area?
Sure, and let me just preface it by saying legal advice is something that you can only give when you have an attorney-client relationship. So I'm giving general information to general questions.
Wonderful, thank you.
But FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, has in fact declared initially a public disaster, which meant that they would provide reimbursement to the state and to the county and the city for rescue efforts and cleanup efforts. And now they've expanded that to individual benefits. And so those benefits are available for people to apply for. It's primarily aimed at temporary displacement. It can help individuals. We don't think about the fact that there were 85 homes destroyed and hundreds of homes that are irreparably damaged. Many of them had gardeners and housekeepers and domestic workers that are now out of work. And those folks can look to FEMA to apply for unemployment insurance. There are also companies, businesses. The Small Business Administration is starting to help them with business interruption, and individuals, although individuals can get up to $34,000 per person for FEMA benefits, the average tends to be around $3,500.
Wonderful, very good to know. So I have another question. How will our community deal with changing property lines, as we know the size of the rivers has changed?
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting question. The first thing is, how do we demarc these properties where fences have been washed out, borders have been washed out, monuments have been lost? What's amazing is that with technology today, we do have GPS coordinates, we do have overlays that were mapped for surveyors and the like. So we may be able to turn to some of those resources to come back and find the property borders. Of course, hiring a licensed surveyor is something that a lot of people may have to do here. But it brings up the question of the buildability of these lots where homes were lost. That may change now because you have certain setbacks from the creek that are required. And as the creek expands and becomes larger, those setbacks move into the property lines and may make a home that was otherwise legally built now no longer able to be rebuilt. And so that may lead to issues of eminent domain and a taking and things of that nature.
The tragic loss of life has brought up the issue of probate and trusts.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I mean, my firm and a lot of attorneys here in town are helping families to file probate estates or to administer trusts. A lot of people in Montecito have trusts, and now that they have passed on, those trusts have to be administered. And so there's a number of legal requirements, sending notice to beneficiaries and things of that nature, and we are assisting folks in either filing probate estates or filing affidavits of successor trustee and things of that nature.
So one other thing that has come up is, can you tell us about how people are using photos to assist in the appraisals?
Yeah, it's a great question. Is that when you have a loss like this, you're going to be asked to create an inventory of the property that was lost, not just the real property, but the personal property. And of course, in Montecito, we have a lot of people with major art collections, a lot of antiquities in their home. We're finding that in order to establish the presence of those items, we're looking at photographs that were taken maybe at birthday parties or retirement parties or just family gatherings. And in those photographs, like here, you have this beautiful artwork here. In those photographs, you can identify the property that was present, and you can show the condition of the property. Nothing really replaces a professional videographer, and YTS Videography, they do a lot of professional documentation of your real property and your personal property for insurance policies. It's very important.
It's good to know. Once again, I appreciate it very much for being on our show. Viewers got a lot of information, and looking forward to have you again.
Sure thing.
Thank you. Here at Santa Barbara Design Center, we are dedicated to helping those affected by Santa Barbara's recent tragedies. We are prepared to offer our services on the repair and restoration of rugs and furniture, all at greatly discounted rates. We are a small community, and it's important that we take care of each other. We also wish to offer our appraisal services for insurance or legal needs at no charge. Lastly, if you have items lost or damaged beyond repair, we can assist in highly personalized redesign of your home. Santa Barbara Design Center is here for you. Today on Micael's Minute, I'm gonna talk about what makes a good sofa versus a great sofa. This one is called Malibu, and this is called Malibu 2.0. What makes a difference is, for the Malibu, we use industry standard wrap, which is a polyester. For the 2.0, we use a blend of angel hair, which is a synthetic down, and down itself. On top of that, we use two different fabrics for them. For the regular Malibu, we use 100% polyester fabric, which is very long lasting and has 30,000 double rub, which is very durable. For the 2.0, we use the highest quality linen in the market. I would like to invite you to come and see these in person. Come see me at Santa Barbara Design Center, Fort and Olive. Hi, I am Micael and welcome to Design Santa Barbara. This week we are in Santa Barbara Design Center, and I'm going to share some of my favorite treasures with you. I look at these artifacts as a gateway to the past. They connect us to our descendants and enrich our lives by showing us a glimpse into what life was like thousands of years ago. Our first two pieces come from Egypt. Egypt is one of the cradles of civilization, and its origins stretch as far back as 10th millennium BC. Ancient Egyptians were responsible for some of our earliest development of writing, agriculture, urbanization, government, and religion. Ancient Egypt is also known for its incredible feats of engineering, including the Great Pyramids of Giza, the Sphinx, and the Valley of the Kings. With the discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb in November 1922 by the British archaeologist Howard Carter, the Western world became enthralled with Egyptian culture. Egyptian influences were soon seen in jewelry, fashion, and even motion pictures. Ancient Egypt is divided into several periods of history, with Middle Kingdom spanning 2700 to 2200 BC. In this time, Egypt saw the unification of the kingdom into one central government, ruled by the pharaohs in the capital city of Thebes and worshipping the god Osiris. Egyptians of this period experienced a great prosperity through agriculture along the Nile River and the development of art and culture, specifically for entertainment purposes. Papyrus, the earliest form of writing paper, was developed in ancient Egypt and led to the documentation of the country's history in greater details than ever seen before. Furthermore, we are able to understand these ancient texts due to the Rosetta Stone. This 45 by 30-inch stone depicts the same text in two forms of Egyptian and ancient Greek. Its discovery in 1799 truly changed our understanding of ancient languages. This takes us to our first antiquity. This textile comes from the Middle Kingdom and is over 4,000 years old. While ancient Egyptians cared greatly about their appearance, often wearing headdresses and makeup, fashion greatly remained the same for hundreds of years. This piece of fabric is finely made and would have belonged to an upper-class citizen from this era. I'm in awe of the fine quality of this work from so long ago. Now let's move several thousand years into the future, to the 5th century AD. After the development and spread of Christianity, a sect of Middle Eastern Christians known as Copts came to prominence. Today, the Copts represent a significant population of Egypt, totaling 12 to 15 million. This Coptic pattern from the 5th century represents a time where the Christian faith was rapidly spreading across the known world. It employs ancient Egyptian weaving techniques, but incorporates Christian iconography. Though only a partial fabric, finding a piece this intact is a true feat. Often pieces of this quality are only found in museums. A similar piece is currently on display in the British Museum in London. I hope you have enjoyed this look at these two pieces of Egyptian textiles. Though they are from very different eras, they demonstrate an exquisite level of craftsmanship and allow us a window into a long gone era.